I was fired for being unsafe and breaking safety rules. The real reason? I refused to accept a huge pay cut. I worked for company name for 14 years. For 12 of those years, I loved my job. There were two main parts to my work. The first part was the sales side. This meant going to customers' places, which often involved a lot of driving. Sometimes I even flew to other countries to meet with customers face to face. We weren't the cheapest company, but we made a great product, and I was the best at making sure customers got what they wanted. Customers always loved the way I helped them create their dream designs, and I got tons of repeat business. They even recommended me to their friends. The other side of my job was the office part. This was my weaker side. I really hated making calls to new customers to try and get them to buy our product. I was good at answering the phone when customers called us, but I didn't like making those cold calls. At the office, I did other things like prepare products, design new products, and train new employees. This ended up being a big part of my job. I also helped out with problems, filled in for sick employees, and was always ready to do whatever was needed. I really liked the owner and manager. I even liked all the other employees. Overall, it was a great job, and I was good at it. I was proud of my work. Over the 12 years I worked there, the company did so well that the owner kept expanding. He started the company about 3 months before I joined, so I saw the company grow a lot. I worked in the office closest to my house, but I often traveled to other offices to train new staff. The company sometimes sent me to other businesses to teach their employees how to do things. I even became a teacher at a university for a while, teaching medical students how to explain things to people who don't understand all the complicated terms they use. After 12 years, I had a pretty good salary. It wasn't huge, but I was happy. Then the owner decided to sell part of the company, including the area where my local office was. He said he'd love for me to stay, but I would have to work at a different office. This meant moving, or driving to work 4 times longer than I did before. My other choice was to stay at the same office but work for a new boss. I decided to stay where I was. Before the new owner bought the company, she spent a few weeks getting to know how we worked. She acted like another employee, watching everyone to learn how things were done. She even came with me to customer appointments and saw how good I was at my job. When they finally told us who the new owner was, everyone was shocked. She changed things very quickly. The manager quit to start her own business, since the new owner was also going to be the manager. She fired a lot of people. The secretary, myself, and a few newer employees were the only ones who kept their jobs. The new employees were paid the least amount of money. Anyone who had been there a while and was making a decent salary got fired. Since almost everyone was paid only for the hours they worked, it was easy for the new owner to let them go. Even though it was a new company, for customers, everything was still the same. The company had the same name. The only real change was the new owner. Even the name on the legal documents was different, but it didn't really matter to the customers. For the first few months after the sale, I was in charge of training the remaining staff to replace the experienced employees who had been fired. I recommended a couple of people who I had worked with before. I was honest with the owner and told her that one was my friend and one was my girlfriend. Both were really good at the job and were excited to work there. My friend had just come back to the country after traveling for a year, and my girlfriend could only work during the school holidays because she was a teacher. The owner interviewed both of them and hired them because we needed more staff. Over the next 2 years, things started going badly for the company. The new owner decided to try and make more money by raising prices and lowering the quality of our products. New customers didn't really notice, but the old customers who had been with us for years immediately knew something was wrong. They were paying more for worse products. The owner made the situation even worse by raising prices again. Almost all of our old customers left us, and very few new customers came back for more. We got a ton of complaints. At the same time, employees were leaving the company really fast. People left after a few months because they realized they weren't being paid enough. Before, the average hourly pay for new employees was about 2.5 times the minimum wage. That meant employees cared about their jobs and wanted to keep them. My girlfriend quit, and my friend started looking for a new job. Then, I got a call from the owner, asking me to come to the office. This was unexpected because I was just finishing work at a customer's location. My next appointment was in 2.5 hours, about a half-hour drive away. The office was about 1 hour and 10 minutes from both places. If I went back to the office, I would only have 5 minutes there before leaving again. I was paid for all the miles I drove, which saved the company money, and parking was awful around the second location, so I was planning to get there early to find parking and read a book. The manager didn't care. She needed me back at the office, so I went. When I arrived, the owner handed me a letter. It said I had to attend a disciplinary meeting in a few days and I could bring a witness with me. I was totally shocked. I had been the best employee. I read her list of complaints about my work and started to think about how I would defend myself. At the meeting, I decided not to bring a witness. Instead, I secretly recorded the whole meeting on my phone. It was legal where I lived and I didn't need her permission. The boss brought a friend as her witness. She met her friend at a yoga class and hired her for a job in the office, even though she fired the secretary who had worked there for years before the company was bought. She gave me a list of complaints, but they were all silly or untrue. For example, she said, "You were unavailable for a whole week in August." I said, "I took a week's vacation so I could go to my cousin's wedding across the country and turn it into a holiday." Then she said, "You were late for work on May 12th. I replied, "Is that the day my car broke down and I called the office to let you know?" "I don't know," she said. I showed her a receipt from the garage dated May 12th and said, "I do know. Here's proof." She even lied about something serious. I can't write down the exact quote, but she accused me of being unsafe and breaking safety rules when I was working with a customer. I had never broken any safety rules, and I had been doing this job for 14 years. She even watched me do the same thing multiple times and never said anything before. She had even asked me to teach other staff how to do it because it was a great way to do things. She finished her list by saying, "I don't want to lose you, but I can't keep paying you so much money. You're not a good enough employee. You have two choices. You can sign a contract where you'll be paid only for the hours you work, the minimum wage, or I can fire you. You will have 2 weeks' notice." I explained that she had to give me 12 weeks' notice, because my contract said that I was owed 1 week of notice for every year I worked there, up to 12 weeks. She argued that I had only worked for her for 2 years, because before that I worked for the previous owner. I said that because of how the company was bought, it was like I never stopped working there. I even knew exactly which law it was and said the law's number, to make my point. She asked to stop the meeting for 30 minutes to think about her offer. She went to call her lawyer. When she came back, she said that because she was firing me for being unsafe and breaking safety rules, she didn't have to give me any notice at all. She said if I wanted to stay with the company and sign a new contract, I could do it right then. But if I didn't, she would have to fire me. She was nice enough to give me 2 weeks' notice, she said. I asked for a couple of hours to go home and think about everything. She agreed. I knew the real reason she wanted me to stay for at least 2 weeks. One of our most important customers was supposed to get a product from me in the next 2 weeks. They only worked with me. The owner had tried sending other staff in my place a few times, but it always had problems. It wasn't the other staff's fault, but this customer was really picky, and everything had to be perfect. That's why they only dealt with me. I called the office and talked to the owner. I said no to her offer of a contract where I would only get paid for the hours I worked, and said I would leave the company. She then said she was giving me 2 weeks' notice. I told her I didn't want 2 weeks' notice. I explained that if I was fired for breaking safety rules, then it wouldn't be safe for me to deliver their products anymore. It would be best if I just quit. She got really worried and said she needed me for those 2 weeks. I pretended I didn't understand and told her that I was thinking about what was best for the company. After all, you can't have unsafe staff delivering things to your customers, I said. But if she wanted to change her mind about the breaking safety rules part, I would stay and work my 12 weeks' notice. Those were her choices, 0 weeks or 12. She chose 12. For the next 12 weeks, I worked just like I always had. I didn't slack off or make the company look bad on my way out. I kept training new staff and delivering products to customers in my usual exceptional way. I also contacted a lawyer who specialized in work-related problems. During those 12 weeks, the owner barely talked to me. She was angry that I knew my rights and didn't believe her lies. She hated the fact that I could defend myself. She acted very childishly. She accidentally dropped my coffee cup in the kitchen and broke it. Worst of all, she paid for everyone else in the office to have a spa day, except me. She made me work on my day off answering phones while everyone else was relaxing at the spa. No one knew I hadn't been invited until they got to the spa and I wasn't there. I'm a big guy with a beard. I didn't want to go to a spa anyway. If she had offered, I would have said thank you and said no. But she was trying to make me look bad by purposely excluding me. For the last 2 weeks I was there, I trained my friend to do my job. Finally, my last day arrived. The owner hadn't planned anything special for my departure. Not even a card after 14 years, or 2 years for her, since she took over. My friend who had become the office assistant manager gave me some gifts, but she had to wait until the owner was gone to give them to me because she was worried about getting in trouble. The day after I quit, 2 things happened. First, my friend who was replacing me quit too. He was working without a contract so he didn't have to give any notice. He was upset about how the owner had treated me and he didn't want to do my job for minimum wage. He didn't tell me he was going to quit, so I found out when he came to my house during the day and told me he was leaving. Second, the owner got a letter in the mail. It said I was suing her for unfair dismissal. My lawyer told me to send the letter the day after I quit. According to the office assistant, she turned pale and started crying. She left the office to call her lawyer. The owner said I was fired because I broke safety rules, but that wasn't true. She tried to come up with more reasons for firing me, but the truth was she wasn't making enough money and I was the only employee making a good salary. I had proof that I was a good worker. I had proof that she wanted me to work without a contract for the minimum wage. She tried to deny it, since saying she fired me for breaking safety rules doesn't make sense if she wanted me to stay, but then my lawyer gave her a copy of the whole recorded meeting, and she knew she was caught. Even though she knew she was wrong, she made the legal case go on for over a year. I think she thought the legal costs would make me drop the case. She didn't know my lawyer was working without being paid unless he won, but hers had to pay for everything. She finally agreed to pay me money to stop the case. After that, the office assistant quit a few months later because she was angry about how the owner had treated me and she felt unsafe working for someone so dishonest. A few old customers got in touch with me to find out why I wasn't at the company anymore. Apparently, the owner was telling them I had quit. I told them I had been fired because the company was trying to save money. Then, they decided to stop being customers. A few of them even offered me jobs. One of them offered me a part-time job and said they would pay for me to go to college so I could get the degree they needed for a full-time job. It was a great offer, but they were really far away, and I didn't want to move. In the end, I found a new job in a different area where a lot of my skills were useful. I'm making more money now, working fewer hours, and I work for much better bosses. The company is struggling now. The pandemic made the new owner desperate for cash, so she canceled orders and refused to give customers their money back, claiming something in their contracts allowed her to do that. People started leaving bad reviews on Facebook and Google. Most of the staff left. The company is still open, but just barely. In short, the owner fired me to save money. I sued her, and she paid me money to make the case go away. The person she planned to replace me with quit. Next story. I saw videos of my fiancée cheating during her bachelorette party. I can't believe this is happening to me. It feels like a bad dream, one of those stories you hear about but never expect to actually be a part of. My fiancée, Sarah, and I were going to get married. We were planning our big day, dreaming about the future, about starting a life together. We were supposed to be happy, but now I'm lost, confused, and heartbroken. We'd been together for 4 years. 4 years of sharing our lives, building a foundation of trust and love. It felt like we had something special, something that would last forever. We had a beautiful apartment, we made plans for the future, and we were surrounded by the love of our family and friends. But all that feels so far away now, replaced by a cold, hard reality. Last weekend, Sarah went to her bachelorette party. A few of her close girlfriends were going to rent a house together, get dressed up, party, and just have a really fun time. They planned to stay at a big house with multiple bedrooms, and they were going to get trashed, have some drinks, and relax. I wasn't worried. She was with her friends, she'd be safe, and she'd be back in time for us to enjoy the rest of the weekend together. It all started innocently enough. Sarah spent the day at my apartment before heading out to meet her friends. We exchanged a few texts as the night went on, but as the party picked up, we stopped communicating. It seemed normal to me they were having fun, caught up in the moment, enjoying themselves. But late that night, I got this feeling like something was wrong. It started with a simple observation. My computer was on, but the screen was blank, showing just a screensaver. That's when I realized Sarah hadn't logged out of her account. I saw the group chat with her and her friends was still open. Curiosity got the better of me, and I started watching the videos they were sharing in the chat. A lot of them were just what Sarah had described, a bunch of girls getting goofy, dancing, and having drinks. They looked like typical party shenanigans. But then I saw a video of a bunch of guys arriving at the house. It looked like there were 10 of them, and I didn't recognize any of them. I saw more videos, a mix of girls and guys dancing and talking. And then something completely changed everything. There was a video of Sarah kissing a guy on the couch. But the shocking thing wasn't just the kiss, it was what happened next. She stopped kissing the first guy and then started making out with another guy. There were more videos, and each one seemed worse than the last. There was a video of her and those 2 guys going into a bedroom. There was even a video of them coming back out, but I couldn't tell how much time had passed. It might have been a few minutes, or it might have been an hour, because the timestamps on the videos were all over the place. I felt sick to my stomach. It was like a punch to the gut. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I went into the bathroom, hoping that I'd throw up and just get rid of all this awful feeling. But it didn't work. Instead, I just stood there, trying to process everything, and just feeling so incredibly hurt. It felt like I was pacing the apartment for an eternity, feeling confused and lost, unable to shake the sickening feeling that had taken over my body. I was struggling to breathe. Finally, I went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of whiskey, and drank the whole thing in one go. It was all I could think about. Those videos, the images flashing in my head. How could she do this to me? We were supposed to be getting married. This was our time, our future. I wanted to scream, to run, to just get as far away from everything as possible. And then, something terrible happened. I realized I had to do something. So, I saved the videos, just in case. I knew this could change everything between Sarah and me, and I didn't want to be caught off guard. If I didn't have proof, there would be no way to make sense of what I was seeing. Then I made my own video, just a quick little thing where I said, "Hi, this is my name, Sarah's fiance. I just wanted to let you know I saw the videos from the party, and we are done. I hope it was worth it." I wanted Sarah to know, and I wanted everyone else to know, too. Within minutes, all of the videos from Sarah's group chat were gone. The chat was completely silent. But, then, the floodgates opened. My phone started ringing and vibrating with texts, one after another. At first, it was just Sarah, frantically texting me and saying that she could explain. She said it wasn't what it looked like, and I needed to understand. Then, her friends started sending messages too. They were all apologizing, saying they were sorry, and that they'd just been having fun. But, I ignored them. My anger was burning so hot that all I could do was block them out, stay quiet, and try to calm myself down. Then, something changed. I got a call, a request for a video chat. I couldn't believe it, but there I was, answering it, hoping to finally hear Sarah's explanation. I was hoping to somehow see the party through her eyes. But instead, all I saw was a tearful Sarah with her friends crowded around her. Most of her friends were strangers, but I recognized a few, some of them from other social events we'd been to together. Sarah started to apologize again, blaming it on the party. She insisted that the guys showing up wasn't planned and that it all looked worse than it really was. Her friends all started talking too, all agreeing that it was just a party, a harmless get-together, nothing serious. But, how could I believe them? How could I trust that Sarah wasn't lying, when I had seen it with my own eyes? I didn't say anything, just watching them all as Sarah repeated herself again and again. She insisted nothing had really happened, that nothing had gone too far. Then, the whole thing shifted. Suddenly, Sarah admitted that she'd kissed those two guys. She tried to make excuses, shifting the blame to her friends, saying they had pressured her to do it. But her friends just started agreeing with her, taking responsibility for everything. They all insisted the kisses didn't mean anything and were just harmless fun. I didn't know what to think, what to believe. But then, as they were talking about the videos, Sarah suddenly remembered about the video where she went into that bedroom. The video where it looked like she had done something more than just kiss those guys. She started screaming that it was all a joke, saying she'd only gone in there and then immediately turned around and came right back out. It was all just for fun, she said. Her friends backed her up, all of them saying it was a harmless prank. They were all shouting at me, and they all sounded so convincing, like a rehearsed script, and my mind couldn't seem to wrap itself around what I was seeing and hearing. How could they all just go along with this? Were they trying to protect Sarah? Or were they really that clueless? That's when it all broke. My mind felt like it was cracking open. That video had changed everything. There were so many details, the timeline, the timestamps, and how everything looked. Sarah kept repeating herself, her voice rising to a higher pitch with every word. Her friends jumped in to help, repeating the same things over and over again. All this while, I just sat there, numb, frozen in place. Finally, I spoke. "Is there anything else you want to say?" I said. Sarah stopped, looked down at her lap, then back at me. Her voice was soft. "No," she whispered. The video chat ended. My head was spinning, the images from the videos playing in my mind again and again, my body filled with a combination of anger and confusion, hurt and disbelief. The wedding was over. It was gone. We were done. So, I went to social media. I changed my relationship status to single. And I posted a message, telling everyone that the wedding was off and that if anyone had already purchased a wedding gift, they were free to return it. It wasn't long before Sarah saw the post. It was like a firestorm. She started texting and calling, begging me to talk to her, asking for another chance. She kept saying the same things, how much she loved me, how sorry she was, how she'd never done anything like this before. It was all so convincing. But those videos were seared into my mind. I just couldn't seem to forget what I had seen. I sent her a text, telling her that if she or any of her friends lied about what happened, or tried to make me look like the bad guy, I would post all the videos online. Everything was cancelled, and Sarah was moving back in with her parents. It was awful, like everything I ever wanted just vanished in the blink of an eye. A few days later, I talked to Sarah. I wanted to believe her when she apologized, when she said it would never happen again. But there was a part of me that didn't believe her. What if she was telling the truth, and her friends really pressured her to do those things? If so, what about the rest of their friendship, the whole dynamic of the group? Were they all going around behaving like this? And could I ever trust her again, even if what they did at that party was the only time they'd ever gone too far? Sarah promised she'd do anything to fix things, saying she would cut off all her friends and never drink again when I wasn't around. She even posted a message online, accusing her friends of pushing her too far, saying that if they had just stuck to their original plan, we'd still be getting married. Maybe she really is doing that, but right now, all I know is that I'm single, heartbroken, and trying to pick up the pieces of my life. It's hard to do that when you feel so lost and alone. And I'm scared. I'm afraid this will never get better, that this will be a permanent scar. But I'm trying to get through this, even if I'm not quite sure how. This has been a wild ride, one that I would never wish on anyone. And, the craziest thing of all, is that some of Sarah's friends are texting me. They want to talk, to clear the air, but I'm not even sure how to answer them. It's hard enough trying to process all of this on my own. I can't trust anyone, not now, not after what I saw. It feels like I've been stabbed in the heart, and now I'm just bleeding out. And there's not a single person I can talk to about it. Just like everyone else, I'm left with my own awful thoughts and all the unanswered questions. Sent from my iPad.